Thanks everyone for joining on a Sunday afternoon after lunch, post lunch, I guess. So it's gonna be a little gloomy, but I'll try to keep it a lot more engaging. I am Nakul. Saloni might have shared a brief introduction. I have close to 11 years of experience spanning across analytics consulting. I did my own startup into edtech for a year and a half, and since last 2 years, I am with the most exciting startup of India, Swiggy. And today my topic is how various brands, including Swiggy, is actually moving from a regular personalized way of marketing to an hyper personalized way of marketing, and why this would be the future of marketing. Um, and then exactly in terms of how brands typically are at times nailing it, at times we sort of do a bit of goof up as well. But everyone in today's era is sort of aiming to go hyper personalized, and why will that be the future of marketing? So before much ado, uh, let me just give you a quick context. It's not that personalized. Okay, sorry. This would be the brief agenda in terms of we'll talk a bit about evolution, how these things have changed. We'll then talk about why is there a need today, why there was not the need maybe 5 years back. What exactly when we say hyper personalization, it really means. We'll then cover some of the brands in terms of how some of the brands are doing it, and then we'll get into some of the Swiggy specific examples as well, which I would like to share in terms of how we are using it at Swiggy. Yesterday, I was attending a couple of sessions, and in that, it was also mentioned, and I'll just reiterate on that. It's not that this is new. It's not that personalization needs to be done. Getting an email with your name tagged to it is something which is like textbook. Everyone needs to do that. If you are not even doing that, you are out of the business. But it's not that suddenly this has come up. Uh, what I mean by that is there were times in 1990s when I was a kid. I used to visit to local kirana stores. I used to visit to mom and pop shops, which exist today as well. And their personalizations used to be by the surnames. For example, my dad, people used to call it Lad Sahab aa gaye. XYZ, people used to call it Sharma ji aa gaye. And XYZ, people used to address with your second name, with your surnames, with your names, and then they used to sort of remember you that okay, XYZ person needs this, and without even asking, if you ask uh, uh, say tea, they will directly give you the brand which you typically buy. So this was all there in their minds. There was a connect. There was a time when people used to visit to this because there was nothing else available, and then there was their own preferences. There was a shopkeeper, and their staff used to know the kids, and then they used to sort of give the right candies and everything. That was the era. Fast forward, came supermarkets. Now, how is this different? Supermarkets were personalized experience. I need bakery. Okay, I'll only go to the bakery side. I need medicines. Only I'll go to the pharmacy side. I need eggs. I'll go to only where bread and eggs are kept. I'll need vegetables. I'll only enter the vegetable aisle and I'll just check out. And this was the time when supermarkets, hypermarkets era actually came. They really had the bifurcations done. They really had the personalized experience done. There was a lot of upsell, cross sell stuff started happening. People would buy cola with chips. People will buy burger with breads and butter and things like that. So a lot of brands actually invested a lot of space and their energy in trying to make sure that okay they give the right experience to the consumer, and consumer experience from the 1990s to today was always prima focus. But then again, as we evolved, this was the time maybe 10 years back. Uh, Today, it's a different ballgame. We visit the left both type of shops, but majority of our transactions, majority of our time, majority of our purchases, majority of our day-to-day task activities and everything happens with the device which is there in our hands, which is mobile. And that's when there is no personal connect, when there is no physical presence, when there is no time to spend an experience, personalization becomes important. And not even personalization, in fact, you need to go to the next level, and that's where hyper personalization becomes important. um, we need to understand that okay, in the era when people are not able to sort of spend that much, or the brands are not able to spend that much time with the consumers, The only way out is to make the consumers happy by giving them exactly at the right time, at the right moment, the right experience, by giving them exactly what they want. And that's where personalization as an entity has evolved. People and various brands are at various stages of personalization. Some brands have actually gone to the last mile. Some brands are scratching the surface today, but everyone today understands that in today's era, if you are not actually able to connect to the consumers in their own needs by giving them their own personalized experience, will be out of the business very soon. So that is how I have sort of thought that, okay, this has evolved in a journey wherein people still have consumers as the king. They want to give everything to the consumers, and everything is done around the consumers. That, okay, why is this so important? Why do we need this today? Some data points around it, and there are multiple other facts and figures which we can quote. I just selected few, wherein more than half of our consumers says that, okay, they like uh, uh, personalization in their shopping experience, in their purchase decisions. It influences them. What level of personalization? You can go to all the way telling the consumer that this is the thing that you should buy, versus you can give them a range of products and anything and everything. 65% of the consumers are more likely to shop on a retailer who knows their purchase history, which is no ball. Everyone would save their purchase history, but connecting the dots, coming up with the insights, coming up with the real time elements, the triggers are super critical. Someone really likes to explore a lot of things and then really don't go deeper into the specifics of it. On the other hand, there are people who are very brand focused and they really go specifics into it. Me and my wife are different entities. I am the person who really want to order from one place, one brand, and I actually check my previous purchases and just order the same thing. On the other hand, she is an explorer. She explores the entire app, makes sure that she finds the best thing, what is suitable for her or for the kids, or for that matter house and everything. Reads reviews, understand that this is not the best thing, we can actually do something else, and then gets that triggers and everything. On the other hand, CTRs, which is a commonly used term, click-through rates of emails which have personalized content, are a lot higher than the ones which are generic. And everyone, if you check your Gmail today, if not all, 1 in 3 emails would be addressed by your name. 1 in 3 emails would be addressed by the content what you have done on their website. They will either be reminders, they would be either open cards, they would be something new which has come, which someone similar like you have purchased, and upsell cross sell is on the next level. And that's why I feel that, okay, it is imperative that, okay, we need to do this. Like the plan is, we'll park all the questions towards the end, but there is enough and more data available today that without personalization and hyper personalization, we really will not be able to scale. Will not be able to scale at the right pace. Also, will be able to sort of keep the consumers happy with the final experience which we want to deliver. We might be a super app with all the jizbiz around us, but if you're not able to give the experience which the consumer wants, then we definitely are not there yet. So what this is, and how is this different? If I were to just summarize it, this is nothing but using our product offering, digital content, and then actually leveraging our big data and artificial intelligence technologies to give them tailor-made experience. I have close to 11 years of analytics experience with me. Marketing analytics is something which I've done for close to 6+ years. I can understand that, okay, what really influence a new user versus a repeat user, what really influence a traffic versus a conversion, what really influence the people at the cart versus at the listing. Those experiences count. Collecting that data, synthesizing that, coming up with the right insights is something what is key. Multiple technologies are available today. It's more important to ask the right question, is what I feel. And also, if not why, but why not? What I mean by that is, there is this ethos saying that, okay, we'll always ask the whys of it. I would probably urge everyone that we should also ask why not. why not do this? Why not do that? Why not invest into a channel which might not be right in past, but might have been sort of picked up over time? We need to understand the why nots of it as well. Now, to understand the why nots and sort of remove them from the equation, data becomes key. Data becomes key, wherein we actually remove the why not, saying that okay, data is suggesting that this is not important, and that's why this is not. Data is suggesting that this is the right way in which we should approach. That's where it is. So it's a mixture of our product offering, which is whatever the product actually entails. That okay, you can actually do a ton of product things. You can capture every possible journey of a consumer. You can capture every possible signal from a consumer. You can then capture what the consumer is on the digital side of it once he or she is off the product. What is the demographics of the consumer? Is the consumer an old person or a millennial, or is he a salaried, a man and a woman? Is he staying in an urban class? What's the salaried income? And all of that is the content which we need to sort of synthesize it together. At the end of this, we need to perfectly match the preferences, expectations at an individual level. Now, the obvious question which may arise is, not all individuals are same. Agreed, and I respect that. And obviously, you can't really cater to each and every individual. But one size fit all will not work here as well. I, in my current role, manage 400 cities within Swiggy. I manage the planning and growth for 400 cities of Swiggy. It's a tough job. A city in Tinsukia is not similar to a city in Ajmer, is not similar to a town in Assam, is not similar to Bangalore. Experiences are different. Delivery executives have to travel a lot different in Tinsukia versus Bangalore. And that's why our offerings have to be different. We need to understand the data. We need to personalize the message accordingly, and then actually share it with the right audience. We can't go and go with a sad face in Bangalore saying that we are late from a SLA standpoint, unless there is a obvious reasons. But in Northeast, we can obviously tell to the consumers, because the consumers there are a little more, they understand that okay, the terrains are not the same, and that's why it can be different. And personalized offerings, personalized communications needs to be done at a real-time level. This is what's the data sort of talking about. If we are under a stress, we don't have enough delivery fleet on the ground, we need to let the consumers know upfront. If we think that okay, our app is down because something is not right, we need to let the consumers know, and after that also let them know that okay, we are back. All of that is very important. We used to have non-targeted, then targeted consumers. Today, on the right side chart, we need to cater to everyone in their own needs. Someone might be finicky about healthy food. Someone might be finicky about sweets. Someone would be a weekend person. Someone can only order during lunch when he or she is in office. It is different. You can't really have common communication. You can't have similar content going on. And that's where we at Times Swiggy take pride in. We keep consumer experience as the top-notch thing in our rule book. It's one of the policies which we follow. Our CEO Harsha actually is very clear and very particular that okay, at whatever cost, we will not let the consumer experience go bad, and that's why we need to be customized to that level, personalized to that level, that we are able to give the right content. We need to understand that where the person is, what was the time of the day, what has been the past behaviors, and multiple such signals. I was reading yesterday while there was a talk going on. There are close to 200 plus signals which a company actually captures around how personalized you can make. Every company has their own segmentation of consumers. Every company will have a segmentation of their target audience. Every company will have a segmentation of what should suit best for a type of consumer. That's the right way. How can we sort of layer a cherry on top of the cake by making it a little more personalized, by adding that extra last mile sort of a thing to them, so that they actually are happy. It's less than 3 seconds which the consumer spends on an email, less than half a second which the consumer spends on a push notification. Making that connect in that much time, it needs to be creative. It needs to be personalized. It needs to be catchy. And that's where we need to sort of evolve over time, saying that, okay, we were better. Metrics like conversions, metrics like CTRs, metrics which are important to us should be kept in mind. Like I said, let's take a quick dip into some of the brands, how they are sort of nailing it. The center one is no brainer, Amazon. Uh, you open Amazon and you feel like, okay, this is something which I really have done yesterday. This is something which I would like to do. I am really interested in XYZ, and they have captured each and every possible metric of yours. And then they give that personalized experience, upsell, cross sell, all the categories. They have synthesized that to the T, is what I feel. Netflix, on the other hand, don't do a lot of PNs, but when they do it with a bang. They do it to the core. They make sure that, okay, you click on it, it would be a very personalized message, really dependent on what you have done in past, how you have used the brand, and what you have done best with it. Same is Spotify, by the way. I love Spotify. As a brand, they've really understood my taste of music. I do running. They've curated a playlist for me for morning, and that gets refreshed every day. That's the best thing of it. Basis whatever I've done yesterday throughout the day, they will just cater to it. Travel sites, I think they take signals as to where you live, what has been the nearest possible location where you can travel. They do all of this as soon as you launch and then you open their websites or the app or anything of that sort. They connect that, okay, how people from Delhi might have traveled most, and people might have traveled to XYZ location. That's what they sort of recommend. At the start, it looks naive, but as you sort of build the journey, as you understand the consumer, you can actually personalize this to the right taste. You can suggest the right hotels, you can suggest the right packages, you can suggest the right sightseeing, you can do whatever you want to. What's the Uber goal of doing all of this? Again, no brainers, but each org may have their own interest. For Swiggy, everything which is there on this chart is very critical. We don't do anything unless there is a very clear output metric defined. We make sure that, okay, our input metrics are sorted. Our experimentation platform is right into the core. And one of the amongst the 8 of these is something which we sort of do personalization for. Either it could be for increasing conversions, ensuring that our bounce rates might be lower, marketing tactic if we need to roll out. We have done this in past. I'll take a couple of examples in the next slide. If we want to launch a new product, we are coming up with some different allied services. We need to sort of focus on that. Increasing the order value of a consumer, we need to do personalization messages that, okay, why don't you add with biryani a bottle of Coke, or with a good North Indian meal, gulab jamun, or anything of that sort. That just triggers the consumers at the right minute, and maybe the average order value might increase. It's a win-win for everyone. It's a win-win for the consumer because the experience is good, which is the prima thing. It's good for our delivery partners because they don't have to make multiple trips. It's good for our restaurants because they actually make the revenue out of it, and it's good for us as well because we get the cuts. And anything of that sort. Retention, repeat rates becomes the key because the more you become sticky to the platform, the more you open the platform and you get the right greetings, the platform remembers you, the platform throws you what you think is important. It's super. Improving upsells is no brainer basically. Taking few examples, I think in interest of time, I'll park last 5 minutes for Q&A. This was something which was, I would probably call one of the best thing which our marketing team has done with the data layer on top of it at the right time. During appraisals, this was shared last year, which was, we called it Swiggy Appraisal Report. This had every element of a personalized communication baked into it with the till the right amount. As in, we did not go very deep, by the way, because it was a flip side. If we tell a consumer that, okay, you have been ordering a lot, the consumer might feel that, okay, whether I'm doing the right or not, and maybe the consumer may not feel good about it as well. So we need to balance it as well. We can't send like 10 PNs to a consumer every day that, okay, eat. Consumer max will eat like once or twice in a day, or he or she is dependent on Swiggy 3 or 4 times in a day. So you really can't send same communications to the consumer. It will just piss them off. But this particular example increased our metrics like crazy. It increased our rates by 3x. It increased our click rates by 2x. and deliverability was amazing. This was word of mouth. People wanted their appraisal report. This was flashing around everywhere on LinkedIn, on social media, and likewise. And then this was one of the great examples what I would like to highlight, which we have done, trying to understand consumer to its core, giving them a tagging, giving them an appraisal report was something which we have done. There are multiple others. We Now this was something which is hyper personalized to an extent. It's at the lunch hour. We need to make sure that the person who is getting this orders lunch. He should budget amount of time that he will take to order, and then for us to deliver. So there is an order to acceptance time. There he'll sort of browse a few things, and then he or she will order. And then we will take some time to deliver, keeping in mind some of the buffers and everything. We need to send the PN at the right minute, or at the right 15 minutes window, that okay, they are sort of hungry, they need to sort of order food. Looking at their past behaviors, we felt that this particular restaurant, Sandu Ramada, was something which sort of caters to them. We do a lot of these signal catching, and then customize the experience to the consumer. More at a little more Uber level, as soon as any festival comes, we then customize our PNs and our app accordingly, so that the users, once they open it, they get the right messages, their use cases are served, and at the same time, it's a good experience for the consumer. Super, as soon as it was launched again, which was a premium program, we made sure that okay, we tag to those users who we feel Super might make a game-changing experience. It should not be for one-off users who are using Swiggy here and there. It should be for someone who really uses Swiggy for a lot of occasions, so that he or she can get the best value out of it. And then accordingly, we personalized it to them. We gave them their own cashbacks, what they have done on Super, what is the savings which they have done on Super, and accordingly, the best possible outcomes was delivered. On the other hand, these are goof ups. Though this is good, if it rains, we try to give them a message saying that okay, it's raining, please expect a slight delay. It's again a personalized message. It won't be raining everywhere. It would be raining in an area, in a zone, in a city. But sometimes it sort of pisses them off. This was a Twitter complaint which you've got. But like I said, goof ups do happen. We learn from them. We become better at it, and at the same time, we try to sort of improve over and over and over on it. So that's in a nutshell how various brands are using personalized messages, personalization techniques to cater to the use cases of any consumer, and then actually give the best out of it. Long story cut short, that pretty much was it from my end. Thanks a lot, the organizers, for giving me this opportunity. It was amazing, not only giving this or sharing my experience in terms of how we have been using some of the tools and techniques. It has been a rewarding experience connecting with all of you virtually as well. It has been a super learning experience. These are my coordinates. You can always reach out to me, and we can connect separately as well. Thanks once again. Thanks, Saloni. That's pretty much mine.
Thank you so much, Nakul.
Okay. I'll switch off. Cool. I'll quickly check questions. There are few. Let me start with Shashank. Which marketing automation tool you are using for personalization and hyper personalization? There are multiple. There is not one size fit all. Again, for SMSs and PNs, we use something. There is Google Analytics, which we use to understand. There are in-house tools also which we have developed within Swiggy, and then we try to leverage that. But there is not one such tool. Plus, we have a huge analytics team who helps us with the right signals, and we can customize it accordingly. Because what we do is we don't rely completely and 100% on tool as well. We do a lot of data crunching at our end. We make sure that okay, we feel that okay, this is the right thing what we need to do in this particular use case, and then accordingly sort of work around it. Like the evolution timeline. Thanks a lot. Which marketing? Okay, same question. How do you segment consumers via sentiment or mood? Okay. It's when we say in our model, if I were to sort of say, sentiment analysis is something which we do. There are ways in which we sort of understand this. At a very grassroots level, we may not be able to sort of really understand whether the consumer is angry or sad or sort of going through a tough time or anything. But yeah, from a mood standpoint, there are people who typically order late nights. They are like indulgence. They really need desserts and all of that. So we can customize it that way. There are people who might had a bad experience in past and subsequently, as soon as we read their complaints and all of that, and we are able to understand that the consumer did not had a good experience with us, and then accordingly we then are able to bifurcate it. From a mood experience, again, like I said, the late night ordering pattern is one thing which we try to sort of understand. We then try to understand party orders, people who typically use weekends. They really do party over the weekends and they really want to celebrate it big. We can sort of use that data and then sort of use that. Can you highlight your tech or architect Swiggy follows for personalization? Sorry, that's a little more personal to Swiggy. Maybe I may not be able to give you a lot of insights on that. But like I said, it's a mixed bag. That's the best which I can share at the moment. Thank you. That I totally understand. That email was for us within Swiggy. It was a game changer basically. Please share examples of usage of B2B firms. Okay. I've not worked a lot for B2B firms, but I've worked a lot with healthcare, wherein at one point of time I was helping a couple of US giants, Johnson & Johnson and Abbott in past, by helping them with their sales strategies and everything. There we used to understand, and healthcare is a very niche thing. Decisions are not made by the consumers. Decisions are made by a doctor. Think about it. Today you want to buy a laptop, you go to a supermarket or an app and then you buy a laptop. Done. If you are suffering from an ailment, you can't just go and buy a medicine. You'll have to rely on a doctor, and the doctor prescribes that this is what is good for you. And then the transaction happens. So buying a medicine is all dependent on what the doctor sorts of talks about. And that's why we used to refer to a lot of journals and everything that, okay, what will sort of suit doctors. So personalized behavior from that example, if I were to say, a lot of doctors actually are called key opinion leaders in the West. They spend a lot of time on journals. So we then used to send them journals. There are doctors who are interested in bit of freebies and everything. So we got some signals. So we then sort of encourage them in giving them free lunches, getting them on board on some of the conferences and everything. And that's how we were able to sort of help the B2B firms, wherein we were helping them that, okay, how we can sort of solve a bigger giant rather than a consumer, because the consumer is just not there in the picture. Have you explored one-on-one personalized images, videos as hyper? It's personas are something which are still exploring. But then in the interest, in terms of the business also which we are in, it's a little more privacy in the. Not sure whether we can do that in terms of using that directly and then giving them that experience. But yeah, I think from a buying behavior, from a amount of time the user spends on the app, we are trying to come up with some bit of that, but not at a one-on-one level. One-on-one level, maybe not. However, we do a lot of consumer calling. I have done a lot of consumer calling. I try to call consumers, understand that, okay, what are their grievances and everything. That's the time when we get a broad story, but not at a very personalized level. When additional pickup and stop orders are combined to restaurant, and okay, I'm not very sure, Thana, whether I'm able to follow this. When additional pickup multiple restaurants and stops, okay, multiple orders are combined, do restaurants and customer like it? To be honest, if you need a one-word answer, maybe no. The restaurants may like it. They don't have a problem with it because their kitchen is running. It really doesn't matter whether the order comes at 8:05 or 8:25 for them. But yeah, the amount of time which they get is important, and that's where our AI comes into picture. People needs to be prepped, saying that, okay, your order might be batched with something else, and that's the reason why we are doing it, because we are running under stress or there is something else which is happening. We then do that. But I think over time people have started liking it in terms of the investment which we do from our side as well. We don't do across all, as in it's not one size fit all. It's only when we think that, okay, the order needs to be batched, we do that. But typically we don't do that. But yeah, people have started liking it also. what are the big changes and trends expected in 2021? 2021, I heard the influencer marketing talk. I think that's gonna be big. Personalization from what your friends are doing, what your friends have ordered. We are trying to capture that signals and everything. But I think that would be key. You can't be reliant on a celebrity to give you all the answers and keys and everything. You need to sort of go at the next level. Okay, so that's what is expected, is what I would say at a broad level. Changes, I think you will see a lot more personalization coming your way at an individual level. You will see various offers catered for you as an individual, and then that would be only for you. For example, you're a big ticket spender. There would be offers for you. You are an explorer. There would be offers for you, and all of that. Upsell, cross sell definitely will be the bread and butter of all of this. But yeah, you will definitely see things changing a little more on various fronts, is what I would say. The question is, when you batch, how do you personalize the PN sources? It's simple. We can. I don't know whether you have experienced that. But we let the consumers know. We send the PNs that okay, your order has been batched. We don't hide it, saying that okay, the delivery executive is busy or with something. We are transparent. We let the consumer know that okay, he is delivering something and he or she would be available in XYZ time. But yeah, the PNs actually get delivered. In case if they have not been, and for example, you might have faced an unwanted experience, do let me know. I'll definitely can check with my team and then try to sort it out. But we are transparent. We on the app let the consumer know that okay, the order has been batched. We are not doing that since last few times because the demand has been relatively lower. We don't have to do that, but I think over time, if there is a stress, we may have to sort of up the ante there. Strategies you follow on pending carts, multiple pending carts. We do reminders. We do let consumers know that okay, your cart is pending, but we can't do it like Amazon. After a week also, we can let them know that okay, you had added a chicken biryani on your cart. That use case is already done and dusted for us. What we do is we keep that for half an hour to an hour, and then we send a PN that okay, there is an empty cart or a pending cart. What we also do is from that we try to capture that okay, why on a cart the user dropped off. There are multiple reasons why a user drop off on cart. It is a journey in itself. Let me be honest, and I can honestly give a separate talk on why cart drop offs happen. In terms of what are the signals which we capture. What is it the consumer really likes? What is it that they don't like? And then we can marry the two. It's really not the use case dying out. It could be something which the consumer on coming to the cart may not have liked as well. So strategies which we follow is if something is in our control, we let the consumer know that okay, in case if our app or a payment failure was happening, we let the consumer know that okay, it's back, and then you can actually try it out again. In general, also we feel that okay, we send out some of the online communications and everything, but yeah, not to a very large extent. Your views on hyper localization. Hyper local is what we are. I take pride in associating with a brand which is not local, but it is hyper local. We do everything which is hyper local, all the way from demand planning to supply planning to delivery and all of that. So my views on on hyper localizations might have been a lot more stern, if I were to say that if you are in a consumer business, you definitely need to be hyper local. Like I manage 400 cities, and the example which I took, experience and the expectation of people across the board are very different. You feel that okay, all less than 30,000 population cities are similar. Believe me, you have just started on a wrong foot. We feel that okay, cities in the same state are similar. Sorry, not happening. There are affluent people in a smaller town than in a bigger town wherein there might be bachelors and everyone, and the signals are totally different. So I personally feel that we need to have hyper localized effort in if you are aiming a consumer way of sort of marketplace. If you're B2B, it's fine. I think businesses sort of take a little more Uber approach, not at a consumer level. Thoughts? What kind of consumers you do remarketing? Various kind of consumers. I mean, it's not one. it depends on the use case. It depends on what remarketing I am into. If I am into a remarketing of a festival, definitely I'll go back in dates and then understand that, okay, which consumers have done that, and which consumers were loyal to me that time, and then I'll sort of do that. If I'm launching a product, I'll then try to understand that, okay, what is the similar type of things which the consumers have done, and then do that. I talked about Super. Super is a use case. I use remarketing for my Super consumers, and then I sort of leverage that left, right, and center, and then sort of was able to give the right experience as well to the consumers as well. So it totally depends on my use case in terms of what level of remarketing I need to do, how much depth I need to be. I can't really go gung-ho in all my use cases. I really need to do a dipstick, do an A/B or anything of that sort, and then only sort of go all guns blazing. I had read a case study where you had used hyper-personalization technology targeting TV viewers via digital. Purva, it's something which you have done. I may not be able to share too much light on that because that was a little more niche thing which we did in Swiggy, wherein we sort of merged a lot of signals, and then we were able to sort of do that. Wherein we did this, but not to a very grand scale as well. That's one. But yeah, may not be able to share too much lights on that. Maybe I'm not the right person. Maybe someone senior within the company might be able to sort of do that. Sorry, but yeah. What do you improve? Okay, there are some Q&As as well. Can you highlight on the tech? Okay, that's something which I shared. What do you do to improve partner relationship perception of Swiggy vis-a-vis competition? Example, Zomato, Dunzo. Are there restaurant partner level analytics? There are multiple. The answer is yes, and to the core. We really take pride in doing partnerships. There is a separate team who only focus on our supply, give them whatever best possible insights which we can from a demand standpoint, from a cuisine standpoint, for helping them which dishes actually are top selling and everything, and solve them on a day-to-day basis as well. Aniket, a ton of it, maybe. Believe me, as in, again, like I said, there is a lot which we do there, but it totally depends on one use case, how we need to help the partner. Second, what's the use case for Swiggy, and accordingly sort of prep the partner as well. So that's how we then try to sort of do that. Cool. So that's pretty much it from my end, guys. Thanks a lot. Very good questions. I'm super excited. I think I was able to hopefully do the justice of your 30 minutes on a Sunday afternoon. In case if you need to connect more, I shared my coordinates. Thanks a lot, the organizers, once again. Thank you.